Greetings all, Frog here. Let's play Europa Universalis IV. Holy crap. Where has this been? I didn't look this up before I started recording these videos, but it has been literal months, possibly a year, since I last played Europa Universalis IV on the YouTube channel here. So I am a number of DLC behind, content packs, that sort of thing. And so I've updated to the latest and greatest of everything. I don't have the latest and greatest of all the like cosmetic stuff because I don't really care about that. And I'm playing with zero mods, no mods at all. And what I'm doing is I'm going to be recording this as I play it live on Twitch. So if you're not following me yet on Twitch, you should head on over there, twitch.tv/purplefrogplays, and click the follow button. You'll know exactly when I go live. Right now, the plan is to stream Europa Universalis on Wednesdays. So I start typically around 8:30 on Wednesday and stream until, I don't know, 11:30, 12, somewhere in there. There's no set time. So what that means is here on YouTube, there will be videos regularly, but not necessarily every day like there used to be, because I'm just going to record 20-minute videos as far as they go, try and keep an eye on it, right? Sometimes it'll be 25, sometimes it'll be 19 or whatever, but record about a 20-minute video, and then I'm going to interact with chat a lot more often than I have in the past, because generally there hasn't been chat other than just listening in, and now they're actually watching. So there'll be a little bit of backseat gaming, which is fine. There'll be some advice going on, there'll be some tips and tricks and strategies and things, and I'm going to try and do it just like I've done all my other YouTube video series, especially of this game, to where I'm going to tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing and talk through all the math behind it. So I've been watching Arumba playing this recently, because I realized if I was going to get back into this, I better look at the master. And he is probably one of the best players in the world, aside from maybe DDR Jake and a couple of others, right? But he's the one that's actively out there streaming every single day and playing this game every single day and playing a whole bunch of different things. And so he's got the math on it, and he knows what's going on. So he's blown my mind with some of this stuff, like the fact that cavalry is no longer good, especially in Europe. The fact that there's so much stuff, and there are 4 new DLC that I've never played with, so I don't know how this interacts. I don't know how things are going to go. So there's going to be a lot of experimentation. That's why I've labeled this series on Twitch as relearning Europa Universalis IV. Probably going to do the same thing on YouTube. You'll know if you're watching it on YouTube, but I haven't decided yet. And so we're going to go and get into this thing. No mods. Like I said, I want to make this straightforward. I can already tell you I want Beyond Typhus, because I want the more provinces. I just like the map a little bit better with more provinces. But, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to play this as Iron Man, so that way if I make huge mistakes, I can go back and correct. I don't care about achievements for this game, really. There are just so many achievements that I'm never going to get anyway, so who cares? Maybe someday I'll do an achievement run, but as you've never seen me get an achievement before on YouTube, it's not going to be a top priority. Probably not going to talk as much like this, and I'm hoping that the chat will really get into it. So if you like watching Europa Universalis live and like talking to the streamers as they're playing, then come on over, because honestly, you backseat game all you want. 1, I may not take your advice anyway, but 2, I like the interaction. That's why I've been on Twitch more, and I haven't been on YouTube as much recently, because the interaction with the chat is so much more rewarding than having to wait forever. Or like today, when I went on to check out my YouTube comments and somebody's saying, hey, I was first, hey, talk to me, or B, you're a purple toad. And I'm like, first off, toads are types of frogs, so it's kind of okay. They're not as cool, but they're kind of okay. And then also, like, oh man, no annoying autosave now. Is that true? Or is that, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's still autosaves. All right, so here we go. This is the world map now. We're gonna start in 1444, because of course we are. And then, so if you look around, I'm not gonna regen the map. Like, I'm not gonna do any of that business. Oh, you can't click to drag in this game. Ugh. So I'm not gonna rebuild the map. This is what it's gonna start with. So many different changes. Like, oh, look at all of India. It's way different than it used to be. Saudi Arabia is different. There's more African nations and stuff. It's crazy. But we're gonna focus on a region that's sort of familiar to me, and that is the Crimea. I can't remember why we picked Crimea last time when we started playing. Adam, do you remember why? Because I'm not doing Iron Man. Yeah, I know, but it's still autosaves. But there was a reason I picked Crimea last time, and I can't remember what it was. But we are going to pick Crimea. We're going to play through, like I said, and maybe try and form Russia. I don't even know if it's possible as Crimea, but I think I'm going to try. You suggested it. Okay, that's fine. I mean, whatever the reason is, right? There's no wrong answer there. Just whatever I feel like doing. I do remember that the first thing I did was ally the Ottomans and then attack the Theodoro to take Theodoro back, because I also wanted to go after Genoa, and in order to go after Genoa, I need the Ottomans, and I think we can get the Ottomans on our side if we do this correctly. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. Just go with it. And that's kind of our big plan. Circassia is or is not going to be one of our friends. I think the Great Horde could be. The problem is that if we ally the Great Horde, that means we're going after Lithuania, That seems a little crazy. It depends on if the union happens. If the union happens, we are not going after Lithuania at all. We're going to go after the Horde, which means we can ally Nogai. Problem is, Nogai gets in a lot of wars because Uzbek. So, I mean, like, there's a lot of things that we could do at the beginning of this. You don't think I had the Ottomans yet, but was working towards it. I know, it's the only way I think we can stay alive is to have the Ottomans on our side, honestly. Unless somehow we get the Emperor on our side, it seems a little less likely, but it's possible. Or we get involved in this business. Right, we ally either Novgorod or Muscovy, but I don't think that they really care about me yet because there's so much in the way. I think the long-term goal is Russia. I think the short-term goal is going to be getting the Crimean Peninsula back under our control entirely, kicking Genoa out, and then maybe starting to grow, probably through the Horde. It's tough to say. Religions benefits the Ottoman alliance. Yes, that is nice. So let's talk about Crimea. What are we? We are a kingdom. If you haven't seen this before, or you haven't played EU4 in a long time, the governments do have ranks. That's been it for a long time. But, you know, again, I'm just going to kind of talk through everything. Talk through why I'm making decisions. Again, just what's going on? What are we doing here, right? And I only have 14 minutes left in this episode. So this is like the introductory episode before we get into the meat and potatoes. So there's 3 different ranks. There's a duchy, kingdom, and an empire. The higher the rank you are, basically the more stuff you get. And for my purpose, what I care about the more is the higher rank you are, the more diplomats you get. The more diplomats you have, the more war you can be doing during the game, the more deals you can be striking, the more corruption you can be spreading. Just, it's better to have more diplomats. JP, how are you doing, man? Or they have the Chesterfields and the Ottomans as allies. Well, I don't have any Chesterfields right now, but if you could point me to a good shop. Oh, Canadian humor. Hopefully Genoa isn't allied with Francis Savoy this time. Yeah, no kidding. Part of the problem is I'm pretty sure in this version that France does not start as a... Oh, no, it is a great power. Oh, wait, no, these are interesting choices. These aren't the great powers. I don't think France starts as a great power in this one, which is madness. But we'll see. I mean, it'll show up real quick. So anyway, our rank is a kingdom. It's right in the middle. So we get that extra diplomat, which means we have 3. We have 3 diplomats instead of 2. If we were starting as Moldavia, for instance, there's no way they're a kingdom, right? Yeah, they're a duchy. So they only have the 2. We get 3. 3 is good. Let's just have a little more flexibility. Plus, there's other bonuses that go into it, right? I do like that. The furniture humor. Our technology group is nomadic. That's kind of annoying. Because obviously we're going to go against people that have the Eastern technology, or even worse, we get over here and they have Western technology. Nomadic technology group is not fantastic. So if we can do stuff to make decisions to get out of the Western, or out of the nomadic group into the Eastern group, will be so much better because our pips are going to be better. In Europa Universalis IV, combat is based on pips and die rolls. So the better your pips and the better your die rolls, the better your combat. So in order to have better pips, you need better technology, and the nomads just don't have that technology. What that also implies is we should be going east, going through the Great Horde, going through Nogai, up through Kazan and into Muscovy, because by that point our pips won't matter as much, because as a nomadic tech group generally, you can afford to have more troops. And well, just like in any other game, bigger army diplomacy is one of the best types of diplomacy you can have. So we're nomadic. Is that great? No. Is it awful? No. Genoa is Western, I think. Yeah, that's our biggest problem. Is one of our biggest enemies has better pips than we are right off the bat. So the other alternative is we could do things like take up state policies to lower development costs, to raise our development, to get better tech levels and stuff. But I think it's way more complicated. All right, that's our logo. Isn't that nice? We are a Sunni religion. There's a lot of interesting things that we can do as a Sunni religion in this game. We'll talk about that when we get there. We're a Khanate, which is basically just look, we're a kingdom. That's our kingdom rank. So here's when you get a kingdom, you get an extra diplomat. So that's why I said you have 3 instead of 2. You do have monthly autonomy change, which is good. Autonomy, you want the lowest autonomy you possibly can. The sign on my flag is a tamga. That's a little bit of trivia from Adam. Explain to me what a tamga is so we can let all the people know. But the lower the autonomy, the more goods and services you get directly into your government. So if you can have 0 autonomy everywhere, so much the better. It'll never happen. But if you can do something like that, that's so much better. The number of states is +5, so we get 10 states, or maybe we get 15 instead of 10. I don't know. But we get +5 states. Having states allows you to have semi-autonomous regions, so they can have policies that improve things in that region without giving up autonomy. It's kind of nice. And then the national focus cooldown is -5. I believe the focus cooldown is 20-year timer, so we get a 15 as a, or probably a 25-year timer, and you get 20 as a kingdom. I'll be able to tell that as soon as we get into the game. But basically, there are 3 different types of traits, call it, or mana, if you will, that we can use to improve our country. There is diplomacy, administrative, or I guess diplomatic, administrative, and militaristic. And those 3 different types allow us to do different things in each of their areas, right? So administrative allows us to make the land our land. It allows us to boost administrative functions so we are more efficient, so we're better at what we do. Diplomacy allows us to make contracts with other people. It allows us to pay for our wars. It allows, not like monetarily pay for the wars, but like when you strike a war deal, you have to pay diplomacy points. And then the military is military. It builds your military, gets your tech better. And you can focus in one of those 3 areas, but when you do select that focus, you get a +1 in that area and a -1 in the other 2 for X amount of years. Do I get Gladys Knight with my pips? No, no, I do not. Not a lot of people are going to get that one either. The Tamga is an abstract symbol of a particular group of people mostly used by Eurasian nomads. Almost like Prince in the 90s. I am the country formerly known as Crimea. I should change my name to that. You can change names in anything in this. Okay, so that's why we want to be a Khanate. Now, in addition to this, we're steppe nomads. Steppe nomads get a bonus to a lot of different stuff. We get a national manpower modifier plus 20%. So that's why I said bigger army diplomacy is going to win the day. So we get 20% more manpower than if, say, Lithuania was in our lands. Manpower is what's used to refill our armies. So when people die because they've been in wars or there's attrition for sieges or whatever, manpower is what brings it back. And so the better manpower you have, the longer you can sustain wars. So that's good. Land force limit modifier, that is legitimately, directly bigger army diplomacy. So if my land force limit is bigger, that means I can hold more people in one area. And that means that my armies in a certain space are going to be bigger before they suffer attrition, and I'll be able to do a lot more damage, so that's good. Looting speed is plus 50%. When you're at a war, you can loot provinces, and that gives you money, and then we're half as fast, or half as slow, or twice as fast, 50%, whatever. Institution spread is lower. That's kind of annoying. So the institution spread, there'll be 6 or 7 ages. Again, once I click in, we'll be able to tell that. But there's 6 or 7 ages in the game, and they're called institutions. So like the Reformation is one, the Exploration is another. And when you fall behind, your stuff gets more expensive. It's essentially the biggest part of the mechanic. But then if you're ahead of it, then you get other bonuses. And when your institution spreads slower, it means it takes longer for that institution to take hold in your country. So we'll have to be a little more proactive in helping it along. We can't rely on the natural spread. Movement speed refers to your armies. 20% faster just means that we can move through terrain faster, which is good. Reinforcement cost is 50% less. That's literally the money it costs to train up new reinforcements for our armies, so that's good. And the cavalry to infantry ratio is 25% plus. So that's one of the things actually where cavalry is still okay. I forgot we were steppe horde. The steppe nomads still can use cavalry because they can use more of it. The problem is the cost to benefit ratio, especially early in the game, is just not worth it. He went through all the math. I'm not going to bore you with the math on that one. But essentially, for a very, very long time, it's just not worth it unless they're specialized in some way. Ours are specialized. So it's a little quicker that we can get benefit out of it. But most of the time, just get infantry and bigger army diplomacy because I can get 2 infantry for 1 cavalry. And it's almost always better. Yes? I know I'm talking a lot. It's an intro video. Well, I know, but you've been here when I played EU4. You should remember. We haven't even gotten the new stuff yet. Yeah. I have a cat. His name's Chance. Exclamation Chance in the chat if you want to see his Instagram page. Okay, so those are our government benefits. We do have rulers in this game, so that's a little bit different if you haven't played EU4 in a while. There are actual specifically named rulers that have actual traits. I don't get to see what his trait is before I click in it, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. So our rulers are 344. It's average. 11 pips. Okay, I think 9 pips is technically the average, so it's a little bit above average. Maybe 10.5 is average. I don't know what it is, but we're basically average. The ruler is also our state religion, which is good. Is the more unity, the better. Their Crimean culture, unsurprisingly, is age 47, so probably have another 10 to 20 years on average. So that's pretty good. Our heir is garbage, so we're going to make him a ruler real fast to talk about it, because he has 2 total pips, 002. We also have tech levels. We're at administrative 3, military 3, diplomatic 3. That's not surprising. That's pretty typical. And then we have a bunch of ideas. Crimea has its own idea group, so throughout the game we're going to get idea groups that make our country bigger, better, and just all around cool. And so we start with, just for being Crimean, we get land leader maneuver +1, which makes our armies even faster. And it also negates some terrain penalties when you're moving in terrain, because combat's very complicated in this game. We also have aggressive expansion impact -10, which is great. because when you take lands, people get pissed. So they're like, ooh, I don't like you. And we call it AE in this game. In aggressive expansion, the lower it is, the quicker people get over you taking lands. So that's a really good thing. Then we can earn these. So we can earn cavalry combat ability plus 20%. So once we get to there, that's when it's going to start making sense to have more cavalry in our mix. We're going to get domestic trade power plus 15%, which is kind of nice. Looting speed, another 25%. That is additive, not multiplicative. So it's 75%, not 50% plus 25% of what was there, which would be 67 something percent. Land leader shock 1, that's great. Anytime you get shock, it's good. Production efficiency plus 10, so we get better goods out of our things, provinces. We get construction cost minus 10, which is kind of nice. We also get manpower recovery speed even better. Then we get national manpower modifier even higher. And then finally, we end up with core creation cost minus 25. So when you conquer land, you have to create your core, which is spreading your core values, if you will. I mean, it's very, very abstract way of talking about it, but that's essentially what it is. You spread your core values, and that's now cheaper. And then it tells you our country size is 7, so we have 7 provinces in Crimea. So if I zoom in, we can see all 7. We have Mansur, Kruzlyar, Yedishkul, Crimea itself, Kuban, Azaraba, and Tun. So we have all of these. We should have another 4. So Crimea, like ancestral Crimea, is at least 11. It might actually be 13. Can't remember if we have Circassia and Aduki too, but I think we do. And then it's, would you get off the marimba? Don't give me lip. That's supposed to be up there. Okay. The development is how many points we have of the different mana dedicated to each province. So the higher the development, the better your country. And then our fort level is 3. It's a total level of all forts. I can tell you we have 3 forts. That means they're each 1 level forts, which is not great. And we'll talk about what that has to do with in a moment. Landnod didn't accumulate a ton of AE while just conquering everyone. Oh, yeah, dude. Well, that's because AE was very different back in the White Elephant campaign. Very, very different. This game has changed a lot in the 4 years since I recorded those videos. We're not even into it. We're 17 minutes into this video. This is basically introduction. Let's play. So we're gonna actually get in there and play. We're not gonna play in Iron Man. We're just gonna play in normal because it's the first time I played in forever, and I don't really care about achievements. I mean, I do, but my point is, if I'm not gonna get all the achievements, then let's just take it easy. So we're gonna get in here. The initializing of the game literally is making every random decision that any country can make at the beginning of the game, except for mine. The first day or maybe week that the game is open, there is more time for me to interact with the computer where they reserve a slot for me. And it used to be that slot was reserved forever. So like if their relationship limit was 5, one of those 5 relationships would always be reserved for the player. It's not true anymore. It only is that way for like maybe the first month. Almost everything in this game is by month. So it's like the first month, and then they're like, sorry, you missed your chance, and it'll make any sort of agreement that it feels is what it needs to do. So one of the cool things in the new, read this before clicking anything else, otherwise you can't get it back. Oh, yes, I know. So this thing is the history of sort of what's going on. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going to call it a day for this first video here on YouTube. But then we're going to get into the action. We're going to set up the country. We're going to get ready to roll and make sure that we can do everything in our power to become a great power. So here we go. The Jurays of Crimea. The Golden Horde is dead. Its Tartar successors fight over its corpse even as their enemies grow strong around them. The once great empire of Jochi, son of Genghis Khan, has been divided into several khanates, each seeking dominance over the steppe. The most direct successor to the Golden Horde is the Great Horde. Controlling the cities of Sarai and Astrakhan, Khan Kuchuk Muhammad pronounces his hegemony, I think it's hegemony, over the steppe to deaf ears. The constituent tribes continue to break away from his rule, and the Khan has thus far been unable to stop them. A Khan who is not feared even by his neighbors is barely a Khan at all. Once mere tax collectors, the Grand Principality of Muscovy has expanded greatly without a strong Khan to keep them in check. If they are left to grow, they will surely seek to throw off the Tartar yoke entirely and conquer the steppes for themselves. Likewise, Lithuania has benefited from the collapse of the Golden Horde. They have already stolen Ruthenia away from Tartar control and will likely continue to pose a threat to the nomads. Ulik Mohammed of Kazan has twice proclaimed himself Khan of the Golden Horde, but his reigns were short-lived. With the support of local Bulgar nobles, he seized the city of Kazan and established a new Khanate in the northern steppe. Kazan is an important trade hub, and the new Khanate can easily access nearby veins of metals both precious and utilitarian. Oh my god. As the wealthiest of the Tartar realms, Kazan is both a promising state and a target for greedy invaders. It's basically trying to, like, put you in the direction of where you should go if you don't know anything about this history. Plus, this is legit. Like, this is real history. The Crimean Khanate broke from the Great Horde in 1441 after the Crimean clans invaded Hasagire, a descendant of Genghis Khan, to rule them. Invited, excuse me, not invaded. Giray led the Crimean Tartars in a bloody struggle for independence, eventually emerging victorious and as Khan of a new horde. Crimeans are avid slavers and must contend with the Genoese colonies for control of local trade. They've also attracted the interest of the Ottoman Sultan, who keeps a watchful eye over the Khanate's affairs. The Nogai and Uzbek Khanates, while successful in their bid for independence and controlling vast stretches of the steppe, lack the wealth of strategic importance of the other successor states. Opportunism must be their guiding philosophy if they wish to claim any part of Genghis Khan's legacy, and by great fortune, it seems that their Timurid neighbors are close to collapse and civil war. A worthy Khan might take the chance to seize the cities of Samarkand and Bukhara while the Timurids are distracted. So that's kind of like the thing. So a lot of these will be, as you can imagine, for every nation. So like all of the hordes will see these different things. So let's talk about a religion. Oh yeah, believe me, I'm going to the other tabs. So do not you worry. Crimea is Sunni. Okay, the Sunni faith gets the following modifiers. Chance of a new heir, 100%. So I'm always going to have a new heir. Awesome. Cavalry to infantry ratio is plus 10%. I can have even more cav. Normally you can only have, I think it's 1 cav to every 3 infantry. We can have like 5 or 6 to every, strike at the other, like 2 to every 3 or something like that, right? I have to look. When we get in, I'll see the tool tips and we'll see it. Sunni rulers have a piety value that measures what type of piety they promote in their society. Piety ranges from mysticism to legalism with different bonuses on the different ends. Your society moves towards legalism through choices and events, declaring war on infidels and heretics as well as converting provinces. You move towards mysticism by declaring war on fellow Sunnis and through choices and events and other interactions. Spoiler alert, we're going to do everything we can to get up to 100% legalism because mysticism is dumb. It's really bad. I'll talk about why it is in the next episode. Other religions in the Muslim group are the Shia and the Ibadi. Sunni is by far the largest in this group. All Muslim countries belong to a school that give different bonuses. Schools also have opinions of each other that change during the course of the game, and that will have an effect on the relations between the countries that follow them. Countries following a school can invite scholars from other schools to combine their bonuses for 20 years. The Hanafi school gives the following modifier, administrative tech cost minus 5%, which is great. That helps to mitigate against some of the behind penalties we're going to have because of the way our government works. And we are Hanafi. That's where you start. And again, you can invite other schools to get bonuses, but we are Hanafi. That's Crimean Khanate. My government is augmented by the estates of the realm. They can differ from country to country, but represent strong interest groups within your country that can give you powerful benefits if they're loyal and influential. A state might also be a great hindrance if it's disloyal or too influential. Their influence and loyalty can be increased through choices and events, as well as granting them territory in the form of provinces and states. We'll talk about all of that in the future because it's a huge part of setting up. And then finally, we're part of Europe and the Holy Roman Empire, kind of. Europe is the home to the Holy Roman Empire, a giant but largely divided empire that dominates the German and northern Italian regions. Upon the death of an emperor, the imperial electors select his replacement by voting. A member can become an elector by being granted an electorate by the current emperor or inheriting an elector. Countries within the Holy Roman Empire are allowed their own diplomacy and can even have their own subjects, but the emperor is obligated to defend them from the outside forces and can demand that they hand back unlawfully acquired territory within the empire. While the authority of the empire is currently low, this may change as the emperor can strengthen his hold through imperial reforms. The emperor can bestow the status of free imperial cities upon republics within the empire that are not bigger than one province. These states will enjoy the protection of the emperor while increasing imperial authority and tax income. Should a free city acquire a second province, it loses its protected status. Northern Italy is also technically a part of the Roman Empire, but the region has been slipping out of imperial control for a long time. If the emperor does not strengthen his hold over Italy before the end of the 15th century, the Italian states will be considered independent. A tributary state is a special subject that is the most common in East Asia. A tributary relationship requires the overlord either belong to the Eastern religion group or uses the horde government type, so this is available to us, sort of. The overlord will protect their tributaries against attack from non-tributary states in exchange for regular tribute payments, but apart from this, the tributary states have their own independent diplomacy. They can fight their own wars internally against other tributaries under the same warlord and externally against outside powers. So that's our setup at the beginning of the game. I'm sorry, that's not even our setup. That's our backstory. We'll get into the setup in the next episode because it really sets you off for a very successful campaign if you can set up correctly. And we're going to have to look at a lot of options because there are some additional things. So these are all the different symbols of the expansions. So you can see this one is here. That means that came in during the Mandate of Heaven expansion. And that one came in during the Common Sense expansion. So those are things that are new. The last time I played or downloaded an expansion was the Rights of Man. So I got all of these are new. So we're gonna have to look at a whole bunch of different stuff when we get in the next episode. So again, if you're watching this on Twitch, stick around. We are recording for YouTube in the mini episode format. So I will say hello and goodbye a lot during this. And if you're not watching on Twitch, come on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/purplefrogplays. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time will be the typical start time, but check the schedule at purplefrogplays.com that I'll try to keep updated, or just come over to the Discord server, and the information for that is in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching YouTube. Until next time, cheers.